Damn. Well. Ladies and gentlemen, as of this day of recording in patch 3.3, we have access to Cipher's full entire kit right here from the Galactic Baseball event. So I think a lot of you guys are most likely gonna be wondering, is she gonna be, but what if? Will she replace Xiao Qiu? Will she replace Xiao? Do you think she can make me skip Xiao Qiu? But okay, and without further ado, let's take a look at what Cipher has to offer. First things first, this model looks absolutely straight out of Zenless Zone Zero. It is honestly a little bit nice. Very nice. Some might say, I wish that the lighting here in this particular stage was a little bit better. But this looks like a very nice model, and we're gonna be able to take a closer look. Damn. Tyrant's World. Okay, so that is gonna be Cipher's model, and she literally pushes her ass into your face. Very good, very nice. Without any additional gooning, let's just see what her kit is actually about. 153 speed on 106 base, which is honestly pretty fast, not gonna lie. It's the equivalent of like a 124 speed ML Luna to like a 129, right? I think 106 is pretty fast. Probably like the third or fourth fastest unit, because I believe the fastest unit in game should be 110-ish. So very fast little unit with a 2k attack, 1k defense, 78.6% crit rate, and 92% crit damage. Taking a look at her build over here, we have 124.4 energy regeneration, 31.6 EHR, and 21.6 effect rest. Physical damage boost, all the kind of stuff. We have a 10% wind damage boost. I'm pretty sure this is from one of the and then this is a 46.8% quantum damage boost. So bro is definitely on the 4-piece ego set, because I don't see any other way that you're gonna be running this. So let's just see what the abilities are. This changes absolutely nothing. Also, what the f is this level 5 jump off little bro? And then this is gonna be level 8 skill. Hey, jackpot for the taking. 20 toughness bar, 1 skill point, 120 base chance to weaken 1 designated enemy and its adjacent targets. So weaken is a brand new keyword, I believe, which decreases their damage dealt by 10% and increases Cipher's attack by 30%, lasting for 2 turns. Moreover, deals quantum damage equals to 175% to one adjacent and 87% to adjacent. So that is gonna be destruction targeting 175 base and 87. I'm guessing once this becomes level 10, it should probably be 200 and 100, because this number looks a little bit funny. So I'm assuming that at level 10 this should be 200, but I'm just kidding. Okay, one very important note is this is 120 base chance, which means that even without 67% EHR, which has been the universal standard against 40 res enemies on 100% base chance, you can still mark your debuffs because it's 120% base. Last time we have a unit somewhat similar to this, it was with Kafka, because Kafka's DOT, it was 130% base chance if I'm not mistaken. Holy shit, it's been so long since we talked about Kafka. Yeah, like her ultimate attack, it should be 130 base, which means that I believe for Cipher, if you want to mark this debuff, having the EHR given by the game over here, I think it should be more than sufficient to basically guarantee this weakened debuff against the enemy target. So first things first, what I've noticed is it doesn't have any damage increase, unfortunately, because this is decreasing their damage dealt. Whereas it's not gonna be an increase in your overall team's damage from this skill alone. That being said, it still does count as a singular debuff, I believe, which means there is a very good chance that we are gonna be running her alongside Acheron, but we'll see how the skill point consumption is gonna be looking like going forward, right? So let's just take a look into the ultimate. Yours truly, Kitty Phantom Teeth. 130 energy, 30 toughness bar. Her quantum damage equals to 1 of our Cipher's attack to 1 target. Then deals true damage equal to 25% of the tally capped by the 10. So we're going to take a look at the 10 a little bit. To 1 designated enemies. Moreover, deals quantum damage equal to 35% alongside true damage equal to 75% of the tally. To 1 designated and adjacent. And this true damage is split evenly amongst all targets of this ability. So I'm guessing this ultimate is single target first. So this is single target, and then after the single target, you have a little bit of a splash damage based on destruction targeting. If you guys play Epic 7, I guess it's a little bit similar to Renak. Renak's ultimate deals a singular damage to the main target, and then after that, it explodes to deal AoE to the other target remaining, right? So I'm guessing this is almost exactly the same. You deal one single target first, and afterwards you deal additional quantum damage plus true damage AoE to the main target as well as the adjacent target. Note that this is true damage of 25%, and then on top of that is 75% true damage, which means the main target will always receive 100% of the tally, and the two adjacent targets will be receiving 75% of the tally based on the true damage. And so take a look at the 10 over here. The holy shit, that is a lot of yep. When there are no enemy targets in patron state on the battlefield, Cipher immediately causes one enemy target with the highest max HP to become the patron. I will open my own Patreon at 10,000 subs where I'll be posting my hub. I'm just kidding. When using skills or ultimate, the primary target becomes a patron. The patron state only takes effect on the most recent target. After the patron attacks by other allies, launches a follow-up attack. 131 one time per turn, trigger count resets at the start of Cipher's turn. 12% of the non-true damage dealt by allies to the patron. Overflow will not be tallied. Okay, this is a whole lot of yet, but what I'm guessing is you mark one guy with patron. So this is the guy that has patron right now, and then this is the tally over here, right? This is the patron, so you can see 2,458 damage has been tallied against this specific target. And if you were to continuously deal damage to this, so let's just, for example, if I were to do a basic. Okay, wow. Okay, good angle, good angle. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now the tally should be 2935. So this number goes up. And I believe as long as you are targeting the fella. Okay. Boom! It will then do a follow-up damage, getting rid of this guy, and I believe this will continuously add on. So it looks like Patreon will continuously add on until you cast your ultimate, in which it will then accumulate the damage, and then it will deal true damage. So yeah, it's sort of like a stacking mechanic, right? It's sort of like a stacking mechanic. I still believe we have a couple of tracers over here as well. Okay, holy shit. When speed is higher or equal to 170, what? 50% crit rate. 50% crit rate with 100% increase in gained tally at 170 speed or above. Which unfortunately this motherfucker has no, this Cipher is dog shit. Get more speed level, bro. So it is what it is. 300 rogue can tally 8% of non-true damage dealt by ally target to the target other than the Patreon. So it also helps us to accumulate a little bit more against AoE scenarios. So if you're going to be dealing, like for example, Herda and Destruction targeting, we are going to be spilling the damage to other targets. You can also tally on a little bit more by 8% based off of this to, I guess, make her not as rigid as like a pure single target environment. Overflow damage is not tallied, so I'm guessing if the guy is going to be dead, he's going to be dead, right? Then Slide of Sky, increase crit damage or follow-up by 100%. And when Cipher is on the battlefield, damage received by all enemy targets increases by 40%. I am pretty sure this is not damage vulnerability, because damage vulnerability is always damage taken. I am guessing this is just incoming damage received plus 40% for your entire team. It's sort of like the crit damage received is increased by 15% from Aventrine's ultimate. You basically deal an additional 15% crit damage, but I don't think this is vulnerability. Is this the creator server? Yeah, so this is basically the creator server. Yep, I'm basically sacrificing my career for you guys right now to leak to you guys Cipher's exclusive footage where no one else can see for it. Okay, anyway, so that is gonna be the 3 talents as well as the 3 main tracers. Technique is gonna be, bro, someone needs to trim down the yap, right? It's a lot. Okay, 15 seconds, undetectable, movement speed increased by 50%, immediately gains a random consumable. Ooh. You can gain 50 consumables, which is a literal mint picker, guys. You can farm in 50 consumables every single day. Wow, 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 wow. And afterwards, tally amount of this instance of damage increases by 200%. And take it into the Lycons over here. Resolution S1. So we do have ourselves the Resolution S1. Generally speaking, if I were to make a guess, right? She has two interesting things that sort of makes her work. One of which is gonna be landing our debuffs consistently via our skill. I believe this follow-up damage can also consider itself as a debuff. And another interesting thing is basically the follow-up attacks. So if I were to make a guess, right, there's a good chance she will be able to slot into an Acheron team as an agility debuffer, or potentially speaking, go inside a Feixiao team to just spend their follow-up attacks, right? I think these two just off the top of my head should be a potential cook. Let's just see how this performance is actually going to be like. I do see ourselves the tally over here once again. It is gonna be at a 3,687. So if I were to cast the ultimate right now, oh, she's so hot, guys. Yeah, okay, anyways, you can see from the ultimate, it is 3 targeting, 1 from the main target, so that's 25% of true damage to the same multiplier, and then 75% true damage to the guy on the side, the middle, as well as over here, right? So let's see what this is. Bleh! Oh my god, she reminds me so much of Renek. I can't, bro. Dude, she reminds me so much of Renek. She literally says bleh. She literally says bleh. Okay, and then the patron resets. So, if I were to make a guess, you essentially stack on as much damage as possible with the rest of your team. Right, you stack on all the damage. Stack on, stack on, stack, 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 stack. Alright, stack it on. Alright, get a bit of a buff. Keep stacking over here. Okay, we can just do the bonk. Is that physical MC? Holy shit. Okay, physical MC's... Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, yep. Nobody... Okay, nobody cares here. Nobody cares here. Nobody... Literally nobody cares here. Okay, yep. Very, very good. Okay, yep. Let's just do the bonk. This is gonna be 4 follow-up attacks. So, taking a look at this right now, it appears that the patron damage are... This thing can tally cross wave. So even if you accumulate enough of wave 1 and you kill the enemy without triggering the ultimate, you can essentially bring this forward to the next wave and then just continue on doing the thing from here. Let's try to see how this skill looks like. So this should be a debuff, right? So you can see right now this guy has 3 debuffs, 3 buttons over here. Let's see. So that's another debuff on top of the weaken ability. I just realized the weaken ability is the exact same as Automatron, right? It's literally the same photo. So we're gonna bring this up back up. Okay. Okay. Unfortunately, the curios are gonna be... You are not pulling for that cat tag. Don't stop lying, bro. Just say you're sorry. Oh my lord, and there it is. So once you got a follow-up, the number is gonna be at 23 right now. She was supposed to fix DOT and she didn't. Bratty cat. Okay, hear me out. What if the DOT fix is a girl that plays violin? I believe members of my community actually managed to find the Eidolons and Traces a little bit, so I just want to take a look at this a little bit more. Yo, Zero, are you watching this? Can you speed run to World 5 in like 1 second? I don't understand why they gave her a 4-piece ego. It feels counterintuitive. If you activate the ultimate earlier, that means the damage per tally is gonna be lesser, right? Like, you actually want to delay this as long as you can, because you can see over here, this thing can just keep going up. So why would I want to activate my ultimate as fast as possible? You get what I'm saying? We are running a little bit low on skill points here, not gonna lie, so let's just go for the basic. Absolutely. Okay, we're gonna pop this up over here. So this is with 49,000 damage on Patron, right? So I'm guessing the true damage is gonna be 49,000 because it's based on the tally over here. And then we get the Eagle 4-piece, so we step it back in. Oh, I love the angle. Yo, Adder use it as a thumbnail. Adder use it as a thumbnail. Blah! If we go through this route of going for the 4-piece ego and energy regeneration, she herself is not gonna be dealing too much damage because the multipliers all look absolutely garbage, alright? These are very, very low multipliers. Whereas the Patreon, right, the Patreon tally, because this is not just based on herself, right, it is based on like, your entire team. You basically rely on your teammates to be the one dealing more damage, and then eventually when she let go of the ultimate, she can help off with the pop. Then she pops just a little bit more. So yeah, the multipliers for her kit looks to be very, very low. So I don't think she's gonna be main DPS worthy. From an Acheron support or a Feixiao support standpoint, I want to see what the rest of the Eidolons and Traces potentially could look up. The tally ratio is 12% of non-true damage. So if you deal 100k, you get 12k. It's just that right now this number looks very, very low because none of our team here is really dealing any damage. And then there's 12% to the main target and then 8% to targets outside of Patreon. As you can see from the trace over here, right? So even outside of the main target, she gets to build up 8%. So main target is 12 and anything outside of this is 8%. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Only MrPokke would take all this effort to make an early Cipher guide. W streamer. Thank you so much. I'm gonna cry, bro. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Absolutely. The AI is also determining to give the buff to the main DPS, which means that it is really quite unlikely that Cipher is gonna be the main DPS. So she's probably gonna be a sub DPS role. If I had to imagine this RMC or HMC or PMC or whatever the MC is gonna be, is like the imaginary main DPS, we probably need to run like a dual DPS support, which is most likely gonna be Babin, Rame, or Chiribi. I'm guessing Chiribi is gonna help us by a lot. So that's gonna be the NM for our sustain slot. You know, if you have Hyang, I'm guessing Hyang is probably gonna work quite well with Cipher as well, since Hyang also does a shit ton of damage, and all of them can help them together to build up this head stack as much as possible, which will bring in the highest number of damage as a witness single. Okay, huge hit, all the true damage, boom, 115,000, and then the whole thing just had to restart again. Generally speaking, I think it just really depends on how fast she can apply the debuffs. Damn, absolutely. Yeah, basically how fast she can apply the debuffs, how skill point positive she's gonna be, and her own personal damage multiplier, is it gonna be enough to justify the replacement on the Feixiao team or an Acheron team? Because right now, Feixiao, if she's gonna be in the Feixiao team, she needs to kill Topaz or March 7th. Can she essentially outvalue Topaz and March 7th? And if she can't, then that's gonna be a little bit sad. And for Acheron thing, I think it's gonna be a little more straightforward. I don't know if she can replace Jiao Qiu, but I know for a fact that Jiao Qiu is definitely able to work with her, right? At least work alongside with her. So you could probably still run a Jiao Qiu plus Cipher into an Acheron team, then running the sustain slot. And then for Feixiao, it's most likely still gonna be Feixiao plus Babin plus sustain. And then that second slot, which is gonna be either Topaz, Hanmar 7 or Cipher. What the f is even going on, bro? Holy f shit. Yeah, whichever those slots is gonna be, we're just gonna be able to see the actual damage multipliers to see if we can replace, right? We're gonna take a look into her traces as well as the Eidolons right now. So this is the Cipher, Eidolon, and Tracers, which you can see if you actually reach World 5, because you can take a look at what it has to offer. So Eidolon 1, total damage is 150% of the original value. When using the talent's follow-up attack, increases Cipher's attack by 80%. E2, 120 base chance to increase damage received by 30%. I'm a little bit concerned because I don't think this is damage vulnerability, man. Because if it's damage vulnerability, it's gonna be damage taken. And if this is just gonna be damage, it feels very, very mid. Unless they change the wording. It really depends if this is gonna be vulnerability or damage percentage buff. Or maybe we can get a little bit more clarification in the future. But if this is just gonna be a damage percentage, I think this is way too mid to call it for E2. Then this is E4. Additional quantum damage equal to 50% of Cipher's attack. Other patron gets attacked by an ally target. So I guess if you can stack on multiple hits, you can get off multiple Cipher's attack. So things like 3B, things like follow-up attacks, things like Acheron, things like Jiao Qiu, the more often you hit a target, the more often you can apply this 50% attack thingamabob. And then finally, E6. Follow-up attack from Cipher's attack increased by 350%. During the tally, an additional 16% of non-overflow damage dealt is tallied. After the 20% of the cleared tally is returned. So increase follow-up damage, increase tally count, and reduce how much the tally is actually refunded. So it's a little bit like Hyang, because Hyang, they will clear the tally for the healing, right? This one, it will clear the tally for the patron, but it refunds 20% essentially. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see rest pen. No rest pen means absolutely unflip. Nah, I'm just kidding, right? So there's gonna be the Eidolons for Cipher, E1, E2, E4, E6. I'm a big I don't think these Eidolons looks that crazy. Maybe E1 to help us with the tally damage a little bit more. But if we're really gonna be going by essentially as a supportive role, right? This could technically mean straight up 50% more charge to the overall damage consumed. So for example, right now we are getting 12% tally from the original target to the patron and 8% to adjacents, right? Or any target that's not the patron. So if this is 50% more, it's probably gonna be like 18% main target and 12% targets other than the patron. So you can stack on a lot faster essentially. But it really just depends on like if her personal damage value is gonna be good enough. Because from what I look at right now, her multipliers looks way too low. This E2 looks like it doesn't really change too much. It could be an additional debuff. This E4 is kind of like whatevs. And this, for an E6, I'm expecting something more impact for an E6. So this is going to be the Traces, which you can see if you take a look into the World 5, these are the Traces that you're going to be seeing over here, right? So we have ourselves the Speed Trace, EHR Trace, as well as Quantum Damage Trace. So tally is double dose percentage because of the 170s. Alright, because it helps us tally a lot faster. Yeah, okay, so it's going to be more than 50% tally increase. Okay. So in total, she gains what? 11 speed, 6% EHR, 6.4% quantum, 3, 4, 3, 3 plus 3, 6. Yeah, okay. This looks like 12 speed. Yeah, it's 12 speed trace. So, yeah, that is pretty much Cipher's full kit revealed from the event. All of these, you can basically find out by going into World 5. If you go into this stage, World 5, shut the f*** up, Stanley. Oh my god, quit yapping, bro. Planet D007, that's where you're gonna see all of these, right? That's where you're gonna see all of these. Generally speaking, from my first impressions, she looks hype for like a Acheron and Feixiao team. I don't think she's gonna be too flexible outside of Acheron and Feixiao. In my opinion, I think her purpose, she is probably there to help bridge version 2 Apex DPS, like Acheron and Feixiao, to the same caliber as our version 3 team comps, version 3 DPS. I don't think it's anyone's surprise right now that Acheron and Feixiao, they are definitely slightly outclassed by the version 3s. So for players that want to continuously vertically invest into your old version 2 teams without pulling for brand new version 3 units, Cipher will be there to act as like the bridge. She's at the bridge to bring your Acheron and Feixiao and keep up with version 3 DPS without divesting into like a whole new archetype. So you're still going to be running Qiao, you're still going to be running Babin, you're most likely still going to be running the respective sustains, and then the Acheron and Feixiao themselves, they should be already invested in that sense. And then by that case, you replace the slot being either the follow-up slot or the slot that the second or rather the second entity just never saw the light of day. That would be, in my opinion, Cipher's role. I don't think she's meant to be used with any other team. I don't think she's meant to be played as a main DPS. I don't even think she's going to be pairing that well with version 3 slots right now. Because I think version 3 teams, they are pretty packed, right? You already have your perfect Castris team right now. You have your perfect Aglaia team. You have your perfect Mighty team. And you have your perfect D-Hera team. Like every single V3 DPS team, they more or less already have like a very optimal combo. Maybe she can replace RMC here and there, but it sort of depends because she also does true damage. So we see if we can replace RMC in some facets or the other. But other than that, I think she is essentially potentially best in store for Acheron and Feixiao. Other than that, we have to wait for 2 weeks because 2 weeks later, we'll get to see Cipher's early access. I think her actual server releases next week. Now I'll play around and let you guys know. But with that, we have come to the end of a Cipher's full kit review, right? Full kit review. Word of the day is gonna be Gap. Join Twitch, join Discord, join Twitter, all the best. See you guys next time. Take care.